Hey folks, Mr. Dell here. We are looking at operations with fractions, adding and multiplying fractions, positive or negative, all that good stuff. So this is just a nice little review of what to do with those operations of fractions. And this is pulling this problem from CPM Course 3, Section 8.1.2. So in the first one, we've got a negative 4/5 plus 7/12. So if I'm going to add fractions, I need a common denominator, right? In this one over here, it's multiplication of fractions, which I don't need a common denominator. But when you add or subtract fractions, you need a common denominator, right? So the common denominator, remember, is the number that both denominators go into, right? So in this case, 5 and 12, what do they go into? Well, they don't have common factors, so I'm going to just multiply them 5 times 12, and I get 60. So that means my denominator, my common denominator, is going to be 60. So I need to, what we do is multiply each fraction by this giant 1 to get an equivalent fraction. So the giant 1 for this one would be 5 over 5. If I multiply by this 5 over 5, that 12 times 5 is 60. So 7 times 5 is 35. So my equivalent fraction, 7/12. So 7/12 is equal to or the same as 35/60th, right? So then this one, the giant one here, would be multiplying by 12 over 12. So again, 12 times 5 is 60. So then 12 times 4 on top would be 48. And don't forget, we have a negative sign out front. So now I have negative 48/60ths plus 35/60ths. So when you're now adding these fractions, which in fact one's negative, one's positive, one positive, we're actually subtracting them, and we subtract the numerators. So what's the difference between 48 and 35? The difference is 13, and it's 13/60ths. The denominator doesn't change. And then we go back and say, well, is there more negatives or more positives? There's more negatives, so my answer is going to be negative 13/60ths. Okay, so that's adding fractions. So once again, we've got adding fractions here, and I look at my numerators. My denominators. One's a 9, one's a 4. There's no common factors, so I'll just multiply them to get this common denominator, right? The denominator in this case is going to be 36, 4 times 9. So giant 1 to convert these fractions to equivalent fractions that have the denominator of 36 each. So that I would multiply the giant 1 here of 4 over 4. 4 times 9 is 36. So 4 times 5 makes this one 20, correct? And the giant 1 to get 1/4 to be something over 36 would be 9 over 9. Multiply by 9 over 9 because 4 times 9 is 36. So 1 times 9 is 9. So now I have a positive. This one's positive, right? No negative in front of it. And that's negative. So I have a positive 20/36 plus negative 9/36. When you're adding a positive and negative, you're actually subtracting. You find the difference. So the difference of the numerators is 11, and there's more positive. So it's a positive 11/36. And there's my answer there. Okay. So now in here, we're multiplying fractions. And multiplying fractions, I'll rewrite this, is just multiplying the numerators and the denominators straight across. Okay, so we have 3 times 11, and it's actually a negative. I'm going to put my negative on top. I can put it on top or bottom, but I'm just going to put it on top. Negative 3 times 11 over 7 times 12. So that's the process of multiplying fractions. Multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and move straight across. So we have a negative 33 over 7 times 12 is 84. Last thing you want to do is actually simplify if you can, which in this case I can divide top and bottom by 3. And I end up with a negative now 11 over, 28. Okay, so there's my answer, negative 11 over 28. When I multiply these, okay, one thing I need to do before I multiply is to make any mixed number. This is negative 1 2/3. So I'm going to make that into a single fraction. So it's you multiply the denominator times the whole number plus the numerator. So that's the same thing as 5/3. So negative 1 2/3 is negative 5/3 times 4/5. Okay. Once again, what we're doing is we're multiplying straight across. 5 times 4 over 3 times 5. But what I notice is I have a common factor here. I can actually simplify that first. I can divide out 5 and 5 if I wanted to, so I don't have to reduce or I don't have to simplify afterwards. Simplify ahead of time. So this now becomes 4 thirds. But be careful, I forgot over here we have a negative. It was a negative times it, so it's still a negative 4 thirds. Okay? And I can leave my answer as a single fraction, or if I want to make it -1 1/3 back to a mixed number. All right, there we go.